All right, so this is an example problem that we've already done. We did a lot of algebra, and I said you can't find the answer on your TI calculator. You got to use the 3D calculator. That's not necessarily true. So we're going to do this problem using our calculators. So what we want to do is everybody turn your calculators on. Okay. And you see this little, see where it says x raised to the first power? Do you see in blue where it says matrix? We're going to do matrix operations. Now, matrices are just ways to do multiple, you can do math on entire equations by row or column, basically. And since we're multiplying equations by their row, we can use matrix operations. So go ahead and hit second and then the x to the -1 button. And here we could choose the names for the matrix. We want to edit one. So we're going to edit A. Now A, and let me talk to you about the dimensions. We're going to do row by column. So to determine the size of the matrix, and this is what you want to, right before we started, somebody said, what do I need to write some stuff down? I said, yeah, some things. Our matrix is going to be row by columns. So here, when it comes to columns, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then when it comes to rows, I have 1, 2, 3. All right. So it's and you do row by column, so it's always row by column. And that's the dimensions of the matrix. So I say that because we have to edit the dimensions of the matrix. So I have 3 rows by 4 columns. And see how that changes that when I enter in 3 by 4? Okay, does that make sense? Now I have to enter in the coefficients only. So let me I'm going to change this, and then we'll zoom back out on the what's that? Right. Yeah, you do 3 by 4. And then that first row, I just need the coefficient. I just need the numbers. Okay, so that I'm going to call that -2, and make sure you use the negative sign. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. What is the coefficient of y in that first equation? It's 1. Then I hit enter. Then the coefficient of 3. And then 20 is just 20, right? So now I've done that first row. Now I'm working on the second row, which is the second equation, which is this stuff here. So I'm going to enter in -3. I hit enter. Then +2. Let me raise your hand. Yell at me if I'm going too fast. Okay. And then 21. Now, it's very critical. I'm just going to continue. Row 3 is this row right here. The z is 1. Sorry, yeah. This is a 1, and this has a 1. What do you mean you didn't get it? Okay. So, and make sure that you're putting negative. Don't do minus. You got to do a negative sign. If you get a syntax error, it's because you used a minus sign instead of a negative. And so now this is, I've put this in the matrix. Now in the past, what we've done when we want to eliminate something, we've multiplied equation 1 by 2 and then added and subtracted. We could do all this in our calculator by using matrix operations, basically. So now that we have that in there, what I'd like for you guys to do is hit second matrix, and see how now it says A has the dimension of 3 by 4. Hit enter. No, wait. I don't want to do that there. You got to hit second quit. You want to go back to the home screen. Now hit second matrix. Now choose A like this, and then it'll display your matrix. And you want to make sure You double check the numbers, because what we're about to do, if I accidentally put in a negative number when it should be positive or vice versa, the calculator doesn't know. It's just going to do a bunch of math, and because you're not going to write it down on a piece of paper, okay? So we want to make sure. Now, if I want to, the way that we do this, the process that we use to do this is we want to create what we call reduced row echelon form. So let's write that down in our notes. So let me write that down. So our goal, and you'll hear me say this a lot, is I want to do reduce row echelon form. Oh crap, I don't remember how to spell echelon. I'm going to Google it. I know I'll misspell it, so let me see. Reduce row. Ah, there it is. I was right. Echelon. Oh, shoot. I clicked on this reduce row echelon form. Okay. And I'll give you an example of that. A reduced row echelon form ends up, you could do row echelon form, but the reduced row echelon form looks like this. We want to take our matrix. In this particular case, it's a 3x4, and we want it to look like 1, 1, and then we'll have a number here, a number here, and a number here. And so when we make it look like this, what we end up saying is that x equals the number a, y equals the number b, and c, oh, did that backwards, z equals c, z equals c. So it's a little bit different, the process in which we do this, okay? And we're going to have to do it a couple times, and then eventually I'll show you a shortcut. But this is our goal, okay? So the way that I do that, the way that we do this, and I'm going to write some notes down, so there's a recipe to that. So basically, that's what we want to do. So we're going to write step 1. Step 1 would be, you're going to do r equals 1, c equals 1. I'm trying to think of a way that I could write it. Let's just write it out. Make row 1, column 1 equal 1. So when I pull up my calculator, that's a -2 there. How do I make this -2, this first thing here, and I'll zoom this out now because we'll talk about it and then I'll come back to it. How do I make this first term in row 1, column 1 equal +1? Well, I got to multiply it. So what do I multiply that by to make it equal +1? Huh? Yeah, I'm going to multiply it by a negative for sure, but how do I make it equal 1? Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by a -1/2 or -0.5. Okay. So, and Mr. Adams is a little rusty. I think you hit second and this number here that's highlight, or this button here, which is where the matrix is, and go to math. Okay. And I think you go to row, this one here. That means we're going to multiply a row by something. Okay? So I'm going to multiply a row by something. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay? Bless you. What do I want to multiply by? Negative 0.5. Okay? So first you enter in what you want to multiply by. Then you hit this comma. See this comma button here? Well, what am I multiplying that by? Well, I'm going to multiply that by matrix A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second matrix. Just choose A. Put a comma. Which row am I going to multiply that by? The first one. So I put 1. Okay. Close parentheses. And what my calculator is saying, I'm going to take matrix A, row 1, and multiply it by negative 0.5. Now, when I hit enter, it changes. If you notice, it just multiplied this by negative 0.5, multiplied this by negative 0.5, multiplied this by negative 0.5, and multiplied this by negative 0.5. Does that make sense? Huh? Are there any questions? Are we all on the same page? Are you with me or no?
I clicked off of the page, and now every time I go back to it,
Bring me your calculator real quick. Bring it to me real quick. Let me see what you did. All right, so I'll give you guys a second. Oh, I see. You're in the wrong screen there. Whenever you get there, you got to do second quit. Let me just make sure your matrix is intact. Yep. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you're not on the home screen, the way that you get back to the home screen always is hit second mode, and that quits, and it automatically by default takes you to the home screen. All right, cool. So now what we want to do, once we're done with that, we want to store this to another matrix. So see this button that says store? Stow. It means store. If I hit this button, it will store my answer. What this means is it's going to take this answer and store it to matrix B. So I'm going to, yes, this button right here, stow, as you guys like to call it. And then I want it to go to matrix B, so I'm going to hit second matrix, and now I'm going to choose matrix B. When I hit enter, now that's all in matrix B. So now I need to do some math. I need to make this equal 0. Okay? I need to make this equal 0. How do I make that equal 0? Well, I'm going to add 3 to it. So if I multiply this by 3, in other words, if I multiply row 1 by 3 and subtract it from row 2, doesn't that make this 0? Yeah. So now how do I do that? That's a lot of math. Okay. So what I want to do is you could do a multiplication addition thing. All right. So let me show you how to do that. So you're going to hit second matrix. All right. And then I'm going to go to math. And then you want to do this one here. I'm going to multiply a row and then add it to another row. So that's multiply row, then add. Well, I'm going to multiply the first row by 3. But I'm going to multiply, the reason we stored it by B is we're going to use B a lot. So I'm going to multiply B. So I'm going to hit 3, comma, then hit second matrix, select B. And I'm going to multiply the first row of B, but I'm going to add it to the second row. and close it off. So what I told the calculator is take the first row of B, multiply it by 3, and then add it to the second row. That's what this little add thing means. Now when I hit enter, notice that I have a 1 here and a 0 here. Our goal is to make it look like this, 1, 0, 0. And then what happens is you have a 1 in the x, so you have 0y, 0z, so you're left with 1x equals a. This will be 0x is 0z, so you have 1y equals b. And then 0, 0. We just repeat these processes, or process, I suppose. So now, what do you think we do with this answer? I can store it to C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit store, right? And then I'm going to hit second matrix and put C. Okay? Boom. Now C is this thing. Now what I want to do is I want to take that second row and I want to make this a positive 1. Okay? Well, wait. No, let's make this a 0. Let's make this one a 0. Let's do that first. So now what I'm going to do, oh, no. I'm right. I want to make this a 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second math. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to math. I mean, it does, though. And I'm going to go to the multiply row. What do I multiply the second row by to make that equal 1? Yeah. So I'm going to multiply this by 2, hit comma. What matrix am I operating on? Oops, wrong button. C, right? Now we're on C. So I hit enter. And what row am I multiplying that by? 2. Close. Now notice that I have a 1 here, a 1 here. Okay. Now what do you think I need to do? Store it in the matrix D. You can actually leave the matrix alone. I think the reason they want you to store, this textbook wants you to store your matrices because you could see each step. So that way if you make a mistake, you could go back and go, oh, where did I make the mistake? Matrix D, matrix E, and then you, normally you could just do this in matrix A and just leave it in matrix A. But so that's D. Now what do I want to do? I want to make this one equal 0. Okay. So to make this one equal 0, I'm going to do the multiply plus thing, right? So I'm going to hit second matrix. And that's what I was going to do. I said, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to math, and I'm going to do the multiply plus thing. Okay? And I'm going to multiply this first row by -3 and add it to the third row. So I'm going to say -3, comma, which matrix? D, right? That's what we're operating with now, or operating on now. Hit enter. Then I'm going to hit comma. What row am I adding that to? The third row. So I put in 3. Am I going too fast? Are you guys able to keep up? Okay, just making sure. And so now when I do that, it's going to take this first row, multiply it by 3, eliminate. So you'll have a -3 added to this 3, and it'll make it a 0. Uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Okay. Oh, you know what I did wrong? Look what I did wrong, guys. I need to hit second, enter, and that gives you the entry again. We forgot to tell it you got to do 1, 3. Because you got to tell it which row. So I got to multiply row 1 and then add it to 3. I'm sorry, I skipped over it because I'm talking to you, and my bad. All right, so you got to tell the calculator, multiply row 1 of matrix D by -3 and then add it to row 3. My bad. There you go. Okay. So now, how do you think we eliminate and make these zeros? Well, it's pretty easy, but first let's store this to matrix E. We'll just go down the list. Luckily, there's lots of matrices. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the plus add. So if I multiply this row by something, I can eliminate this. In other words, if I multiply row 2 of this by positive 1/2, and I add it here, that'll make that 0, and then I repeat the process and add it here, and that'll make that 0. So what I'm going to do, which one do you want to get rid of, row 1 or row 3? Which one of these do you want to make 0? Let's do row 3 for the fun of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the row plus thing. So I hit second matrix, and I'm go to math, and I'm going to do the multiply plus, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by 0.5, matrix E. Oops, I got to put a comma. Yikes. Shoot. All right, so I'm going to hit comma. Now I hit second matrix, and I'm going to choose E because that's the latest one, comma. I'm going to multiply row 2, so that I got to put in 2, and then I want to add it to row 3. Close the parentheses. Hit enter. Okay? And what it did is it multiplied this by positive 1/2, and then added it to this one and made this 0. So now I need to store that, so I'm going to hit store, second matrix. Boom. Now I'm going to take this second row, multiply it by 0.5, and add it to this one. And I'm going to hit, I go second matrix, go to math. If you go up, it takes you right to it. All right. And so I'm going to multiply by 0.5 again. Okay. Then that's matrix F. So I'm going to select matrix F. And then what do I multiply? Row 2. And what am I going to add it to this time? Row 1. So I'm plugging it in. I don't know if you guys are getting the hang of this or not. Does it make sense? If I'm going too fast, just let me know. Okay, so hit enter. Does that make sense? Now, what's cool about this, what do you think we need to do next? Yeah, so how do I do that? Yeah. We got to make, we got to store it first. Good call. So let's store it. Both of you guys were correct. So we're going to store this in matrix G. All right, and what we're going to do is we got to make this 401, so I multiply it by what? Not negative 4. No, 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 4 is 4. We're trying to get this to be 1. It has to look like this. That would be 12. You can only multiply. Times 1/4. And then we're going to multiply the row. We're going to multiply by 0.25, which is 1/4, times matrix of matrix G row 3. So I'm going to say matrix G, comma, row 3. Boom. And now I'm going to store that to matrix A, or H, I mean. Okay. I'm going to multiply by positive 5, and that's going to be matrix H. I was just checking because I looked at my notes. I went backwards. I was supposed to do row 1, and I did row 3 instead. It's okay. So now what am I going to multiply? I'm going to multiply row 3 of this, and then I'm going to add it to row 1. Okay? close parentheses, boom, got rid of that. Now I need to get rid of the second one. So I'm going to go and do it again. Bye, guys. I'll finish the video. I'm going to I got to store this. Shoot. So I got to go to second matrix. I'm going to do H. And I need to store that to G. Or I mean I. Once I store that to I, I'm going to multiply the second row by positive 7. So I go to second matrix, math. I'm going to do the multiply add thing again. And I'm going to multiply the third row by 7. So I'm going to say 7, comma, matrix I. And I'm going to multiply that by 7. But I'm going to multiply the third row and then add it to the second row. And when I do that, I end up with this. And so, and let me take a screenshot of that, and I'm going to store that to the last matrix, which I think is going to be J. And so, let me take a screenshot of that. And we'll fill in the steps in a second. But this is my final answer. Okay. And what you guys may not remember is that this is a problem that we already did. And we got -433. This problem we did a while ago. It was one of our first problems. This one here. And the answer we got was -433. So we did all the math correctly. And then for the steps, it basically, I wanted to do step 1, step 2, but I don't think there were a lot of steps that we did. So just kind of ignore this. But essentially what you do is you just want to go through step by step. I mean, you could write that down. Maybe on the next one we'll write it down. We're running out of time. But that's how you do that one. Any questions?